Alright guys, welcome back to Into the Infinityverse, the shared fanfiction universe that my friend and I, well, my friend being Jason Voorhees 2011 and I do together. And today I'm going to be talking about a video I've kind of done maybe once or twice already, and that is, and this time I'm gonna go a little more in-depth with it, and that is the slashers. So, yeah, slashers referring to any horror character in general. So that's kind of, so Freddy, Jason, Michael, Leatherface, Chucky, Candyman, any like horror movie icon you can think of, yeah, we're going to be talking about that. And yeah, if you're wondering like what slashers are here, the answer is yes. Literally any slasher you could think of is here. Like, any slasher you could think of, or horror icon, they're here in some capacity. Like, they are all here in some capacity, and out there in the wild, or in prison, in the Dimension X prison called Hell's Gate. Hell's Gate is the Supermax prison, like I said, in Dimension X, that is run by the Global Justice Network. And it's also partnered with Bishop and the Krang, who are the Utron tribe of the Krang, because this is with the 2012 version of the Turtles, and it's out in Dimension X, and it's got a lot of the slashers who are locked up there. But there are some slashers out in the world who are still at large. Like, a lot of them are apprehended, and a lot of them are captured, but there are others out there who are still who are still operating, so to say. Among those is Jason, Jason was actually the first slasher to be introduced in the Infinityverse in New Frontier, which is the storyline to kick off everything. Jason is was in the custody of Global Justice until he was freed by Lucy from Elfin Lied, who was also in the same research facility. And actually, he was under watch by Herbert West from Reanimator, Herbert West is working for the Global Justice Network after being found, and they gave him a choice: get arrested or work for us. You can probably guess what he chose. And Global Justice was trying to figure out what made Jason tick until Lucy sprang him out, and now Jason is trying to find his way back home to Crystal Lake and, you know, come home, just return home. But now he's just kind of currently just wandering around. Now, if you're wondering where a lot of these horror movies take place, we do have like set continuities and where they take place. So for Jason, this isn't the remake. This is more along the continuity of everything up until, well, obviously disregarding Jason X, because that's the far fucking future. But all of the Jason movies, disregarding Jason X, because again, that's the future. But it does include Freddy vs. Jason. It's the same thing with Freddy, where we're not counting the remake, but we are counting all the movies up to Freddy vs. Jason. Now, there is another... Freddy is out there, but he's only been mentioned like a monster in the shadows. Like, we haven't really given a lot of attention to Freddy with good reason. So Freddy is still out there. Also, who else is out there is Michael. So the trinity of horror characters are out there. So Michael is still operating. In fact, he actually escaped custody because of shenanigans, which you guys can look in Infinityverse Max, which is probably one of my favorite stories that was written by Jason. That was a really cool story, and I can't get over how awesome Jason did that first opening story for Infinityverse Max and centering around Michael. Now, Michael's continuity is a lot different from the other two. You would be thinking, oh, my hair's a mess. That's my life. You would be thinking that we would be following the original movies. Well, the thing is that Michael has like 4 timelines, so it was a lot harder to choose. But then we had a conversation, was like, you know what? Let's just follow the new continuity. Like, let's just follow the new movies. Like, let's just follow a version of the new Halloween timeline. So yeah, we're following the 2018 movies that also include the original film. So we're not counting the Cult of Thorn. There's no Cult of Thorn, or this version of the Cult of Thorn. There's no backwoods family. There's nothing. Sadly, there's no Jamie Lloyd either, so. But yeah, so there you go. That's Michael. Now, for other slashers, like, there are a few who are incarcerated, like Leatherface. Hannibal Lecter's also incarcerated. Billy from Silent Night, Deadly Night. But there are others who are still out there. Candyman is out there. Although, we're actually waiting for the new Candyman movie because we want to see where that film goes and what it does with the lore to see because we actually wanted to use Candyman a lot earlier, but the reason we didn't was because the new movie was coming out and it was going to follow up with the original film. So we were like, you know what? Let's wait until the new movie comes out and then we'll figure out the continuity for the Infinityverse version of that character. So yeah, we decided. I was like, should we wait? And Jason was like, yeah, we should wait. So we decided to wait because we really wanted to use Candyman. We really wanted to use him right out the gate, but we wanted to wait until the new movie comes out. Then we'll assess where that continuity is. And yeah, there was also an original idea I came to Jason with, but depending on how the continuity of the movie goes, I may drop this. So I initially wanted to have Candyman be the ancestor to one of the members of the Infinity League. But I decided against it and decided to wait until we see where that new movie is and where... Because the sequels do suck, but we wanted to use some of the continuity from the other two films, but we wanted to wait until that movie was done. Yeah. So, here's the other big thing about these movies. And a lot of people have wondered this because we did bring this up, because Ghostface is in the Infinityverse. All the Ghostfaces. And you're thinking, well, that doesn't make any goddamn sense because Ghostface exists in the quote-unquote real world outside of the horror movies. So how does that work? Also, the stab movies from Scream are movies people watch, are movies that the people in the Infinityverse watch. There, in one story I wrote, it had a reference to a stab movie marathon. But yeah, so let's get Scream right out of the way. Let's talk about what Scream is, and this is kind of the meat and potatoes of why the horror movies. I'm doing another movie about the Infinityverse version of the slashers. So the real meat and potatoes of this video is talking about what goes on, because you're probably a lot of people have wondered, if Ghostface is here, how the fuck are Freddy, Jason, and literally anybody are here? The reason being is because in this continuity, all of the murders that happened, all of those murders did happen. But like in Hollywood and like most real life shit, it gets the media takes over and makes movies out of it, and sometimes those movies get altered around. Some of those movies, stuff gets edited or changed. So a lot of it is, there are movies. So there are movies out there for these characters. Now there's not sequels or anything, but there are movies out there, but they're more treated like true life crimes. It's not treated like a campy slasher movie. They're treated like true life murder crimes. Kind of like Seven, or... Well, not Seven, excuse me. Zodiac. A lot of these movies are like Zodiac or Seven or something like that. They're treated... These movies aren't like these cheesy slashers. These murders are treated like real shit. And when these slashers show up, Jason first appeared in Friday the timeline of Friday the 13th, or Freddy showed up in 1985. That was the first time those killings began in the 1980s. And in fact, we actually Jason and I talked about this once, where there was a epidemic of killers. There was an epidemic of killers in the 80s. There was this great No one knows how it happened, but like in the 80s, there was just nothing but killings. Like all these different killers were coming out of the woodwork and murdering people. Like there was some kind of like either a stigma or like some kind of psychosis. No one knows what happened, but in the 80s and even throughout history, like following on, there have just been people who put on masks and murder people. Like that's kind of the thing. It's kind of like most governments like say like, oh, it's, you know, video games' fault or the media's fault or something like that. That's kind of how it's treated in this with all these killings. Like these were just mass murders that happened, and people made movies off of them. Now, granted, in this continuity, a lot of those movies probably got shit wrong, and a lot of them like were just taking accounts from survivors and making movies from then on. So that's why there's a Scream. That's why Ghostface is in here. Because, of course, if you had some dude in a hockey mask butcher a bunch of teens and get away with it for a multitude of years, people are going to make movies off of it. Like, people are going to go make money, are going to get their money off of other people's pain. I'm sorry, that's just what happened. I'm sorry, but, like, that shit happens and it sucks. So we kind of wanted to apply that here. That, yeah, of course, some director would want to do that if like Jason murdered people, got away. Anyway, so like I said earlier, is that if you're wondering what slashers are here and what slashers who are not, there's literally no slasher here who doesn't belong. Like, there's no killer in horror movies that doesn't have a say here. Like, there's like no killer who we were like, yeah, we don't want to use him, or yeah, he's not in the Infinityverse. Anybody, well, there are some who we are like, I don't know how he fits, but yeah, the Tall Man, he's out there. Candyman, he's out there. Chucky is out there. Axel Palmer from My Bloody Valentine, he's out there. Cropsy is out there. Yeah, I literally forgot that movie, but Jason sure as hell didn't. Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, he's out there. Literally, any killer you could think of in a horror movie, they are out there in the Infinityverse looking for another victim. But it's just a matter of finding the right way to use those characters is the problem. Because there's so many, like, killers and what... And we do have plans. Like, we do have plans for some of them. But other ones we're like, let's just put them on the back burner for right now and wait for later. If you're also wondering if we're going to use, like, some of the supernatural monster characters, like Pumpkinhead or the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. Pumpkinhead, I do want to have in the Infinityverse. I've talked to Jason multiple times, like, I really want Pumpkinhead here. And Jason agreed. I think, yeah, last time we talked about it, Jason was cool with it. The Creeper, on the other hand, that's the one where I'm kind of like, I want to use him, but at the same time, I don't want to give any credit or... And I know it's fanfiction, you're not really... It's fanfiction, it's all for fun. But, like, at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to use a character from a guy... Or, yeah, Jason and I were kind of like, I don't know if we want to use a character from a director who is so despicable as a human being. Like, that just kind of tainted it for us. So, now that I think about if Jeepers Creepers is a little up in the air, though I'm not ruling it out, but right now it's just kind of like, I would just feel wrong writing anything with the Creeper, knowing that connection to the director. Puppet Master is another one we're kind of like, yeah, it's just a matter of there's been so many goddamn Puppet Master movies that have conflicting timelines. We're just kind of like, we don't know what to do with this. Like, there's so many Puppet Master movies. We want to use Puppet Master. I sure as hell want to use Puppet Master, but like, there's so many goddamn movies It's really hard to pick a continuity. Hellraiser is also here, but I haven't really... Jason really wants... and we've used Pinhead before. Like, we've used Pinhead sparingly. But we haven't decided, like, where in the continuity we are. We're not going to use... we're not going to use every minutia of these movies, but, like... Yeah, like... I think Jason last time said, like, the last time, like, where this cuts off in continuity for Pinhead is... I'd say Hellraiser 3, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to have to go back and ask him on that one. Yeah. I just wanted to talk about these fun slasher characters. The continuity's kind of fucked, but at the end of the day, it's all fan fiction, so it's all fun at the end of the day. And like I said, if there's a killer or a monster out there, they're out there. They're out there somewhere. Same with the Universal monsters, although they are vastly different. And I did a video on that before of talking about the Universal monsters are vastly different than before. Because, like I said, Alucard from Helsing is Dracula. Like, he is Dracula, so he is that Dracula. He is the Dracula we've been in the Infinityverse. There's no, like, oh, he's just using the name Dracula. I am the real Dracula. No, he's Dracula. Emotep is here, but it's not the Emotep from the Boris Karloff movie, as much as we wanted to use that. It's the Emotep from the 90s movies. The Phantom of the Opera. We're kind of like it's kind of superfluous, but it's not the musical, but it's more along the lines of the original 30s film and a little bit of the Claude Rains movie. You'll see what I mean later on. The Wolfman, there was a Larry Talbot, but it's more focused on the 2010 remake. That version of the Wolfman, the Gillman. He's out there. I don't know why I should just do a separate video reiterating, like, the Universal monsters. So, yeah. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this? Like it, hate it, comment below, let me know. And if you're wondering if there's a slasher or horror character you're hoping to see, just ask in the comments below, hey, is so-and-so in the Infinityverse? And I'll let you know yes or no. But anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.